and welcome to Stamping Fun with Donna. I'm Donna, and I'm glad you're going to spend some time with me here today. Now, you might remember last week I did a 10 cards in 30 minutes, 10 Christmas cards in 30 minutes. This is the one we made. We made 10 of these. If you missed this video, by the way, go ahead back and watch it because it's really kind of fun. But we made 10 of these Christmas cards in 30 minutes. And at the beginning, I was trying to decide between two different cards I could make. I showed you the other one, and I couldn't decide, but I decided to make this one because I thought it would be harder and more challenging, and I always go for the more challenging. Well, today I decided I had so much fun doing that with you that I was going to go ahead and make the other card as well. So we're going to do another 10 cards in 30 minutes or less. Yay! I think this one will be a little bit shorter. I hope so, but we'll see as we go along. Like I said, the last time was the first time I had done it. Never tried it before. So this is the second time I'm doing it. So stick around to the end of the video. I do have some other samples for you that I wanted to show you. But what we're going to be doing today is to use the Poinsettia Petals stamp set, which is the same one we used the last time. This is a great stamp set. There's 18 stamps, it's $27, and there are matching dies. Today we're going to be using some dies, but not from here. We're going to be using the rectangle stitch dies. But I do have other videos where I have used the dies. I love the dies that come with the Poinsettia Petals, the Poinsettia dies. They are absolutely stupendous. So let's go ahead and head over to the stamping table and go ahead and get started. Like I said last time, the timer doesn't start until we go ahead and get stamping. So this introduction doesn't count against my 30 minutes. So the first thing that we are going to be doing is to be cutting some paper. Now this one, the background is going to be real red. The card base, is going to be real red. So we have pages of real red here, and we can go ahead and get the timer started right now. Okay, so we're going to be cutting these at 5.5. Like you'll do with every cardstock. And I'm using my stamping trimmer, which is a great addition. I actually just recently got it. I had a different older Stampin' Up trimmer, but I really like this one. Not only does it cut really well, which it does, but it has two blades on it. The cutting blade is the darker gray one, and they both do really well. So we have 2 more pages here. And we can probably get 2. I usually try to just do 1 at a time, but since we're doing this on a clock, see, it didn't really cut through. There we go. Did cut through at the end. Okay, so now we have our card bases. We're going to set these aside, and the next thing we're going to be doing is to be cutting the grain pieces. We have Old Olive paper cardstock that we're going to be using. Now, my old olive cardstock I have here are already all different sizes because I use my scraps as much as possible so that I could save paper. I use a lot of paper, and why not save on it if I can? So the old olive we're going to be cutting at 3 by 4.25. So I'm going to go ahead and say 3. Set the scoring blade aside by 4.25. Okay, so here's 3 by 4.25. Okay, and now we're going to go ahead and use these. I'm not sure if all of these are wide enough, so we'll see as we go along. Three by 4.25. And this one here. Great. Okay, so now we have 3 of these pieces already. The next one will be 4.25 and cut it at 3s. One. 2. Okay, and then we can get 1 more out of this sheet. Oh, maybe we can even get 2 more out of this sheet. So let's try that. 3 And yep, perfect. Okay, so there's 4 more. So we now have 7. Put these aside, and we just need 3 more of the old olive. So let's take a look. This piece should be good. Okay, 4 1/4. 4 1/4 right there. And cut this 3 more pieces at 3. 1. Sometimes these get stuck on my trimmer. It's like they have an affinity for the trimmer and don't want to leave. Okay, so here's 2 and 1 more. So this is all we're doing with this trimmer. So today's tutorial is a lot faster with the trimmer than last week. That's it. Let's put the trimmer away. What we are going to do next, however, is to use the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, which is actually, I love this machine. It's really, truly amazing. So we're going to be using plates number 1, 2, 3. And what we're going to be cutting out is we're going to be cutting out some Whisper White using the rectangle dies. Here are some of the rectangle dies. Now, these are not all of them, but they are some of them. You get a whole bunch of dies in this package. So let me set this aside. We're going to be using the 4th largest of the dies. So you just count from the outside, 1, 2, 3, 4, and here is the one we're going to be using. So now we just take the top acrylic plate, make sure this goes with the cutting and embossing side down, and put the top acrylic plate on and run it through. Now, unfortunately, I only have one of these, right? So I'm going to run this through multiple times so that we can get this all done. So there's the first one cut out. You can see they're stitched rectangle dies. There's actually stitching around the edges, and it comes out pretty cool. Looks really extra special on your cardstock on your project. So while we go through this, we'll just talk for a few minutes about the cut and emboss machine. The cut and emboss machine is a new machine. All right, so we have those, and we're going to put this next one in. And it's just going to take a few minutes to run everything through the machine, but it's not too bad. And you can do this while you're talking to your family. You can do this while you're watching TV. I mean, it's totally mindless, obviously. All you need to do is just sit here and run it through over and over and over. So it does take a few minutes to do this, but it's not too bad. I'm going to do it with my right hand. I don't do anything with my left hand. So there's 4. See how quick this is? It really is very quick. All right. 5. There we go. And move this over here for 6. Now, if you want to, you can always not do them on the same page, and then you can use the negatives also. So I'll show you what I mean in just a second. Let me pull this through. So we're using the rectangle here, but this also has a stitched part and a rectangle, and you can use that as well in a different projects. That's one of the reasons why I always keep all of my scrap papers, because a lot of times you can use them for other things. So here's 1. There we go, straight through. And get another one off of this page. So put another one right here along with the plate and run it through this way. Okay, let me take a quick look to see how many of these we actually have. And I'm sorry, I'm moving the camera a little bit, both because of the Stampin' and Cut and Emboss machine, and also because I'm hitting it with the paper when it comes out the other side. So let's take a quick look at how many of these stitched rectangles we have now. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's a strange number, but okay. Oh, is this 8? This is 8. Okay, so we just need 2 more to go. All right, so let me grab this again and put it back up here. And then you just need 1 more piece of paper and run it through twice. Again, always make sure that it's down in the right direction. I like to run it through both ways, like from the left to the right and from the right to the left, because it seems to keep the plates from warping too much. The other thing you can do to keep the plates from warping too much is to vary where you put them and whether you put them, which way you put them. So if this plate, for instance, starts warping in one direction, you put the warped side down. Right now it's not, but I like to switch them around to make sure that they stay nice and good. Hopefully you guys aren't getting too seasick from it knocking around a little bit. And get that one through, and that should be the very last one. So here we go, and this is the very last one. So we'll put these aside, and now we have the cardstock, the green paper, and the white paper, and that's all we are going to need for this project. So we can go ahead and get to the stamping. Now for this project, I'm going to be stamping Merry Christmas on it. So the way I like to mount these onto the blocks is to put that down on my work surface and then just place the block on top of it. And now I know it's perfectly straight and lovely looking. So we're going to be using the old olive ink only today. So let me go ahead and get this inked up in the old olive and stamp it right across the middle. Great. Now we're going to do that for all 10 of these first before we decorate the rest of it. And you can do these pretty quickly in an assembly line type of situation. See, now that one was crooked, but very luckily, every piece of cardstock has 2 sides, right? So I can just stamp on the other side, and that's so much better. So let's keep going with these. I am not directly on top of it. I messed it up again. I was about to explain that I'm not directly on top of it so that my head doesn't get in the way. And because of that, sometimes it's a little bit harder to get it lined up exactly where you want to line it up. Hopefully you can still see that. And I'm not in the way, and it's still in the camera. That's the hardest part for me. If you look at my earliest videos, some of the times I was stamping off the edge. You couldn't see it through the camera because I didn't know that. But trying to get better about making sure that everything I do is actually on the camera so you can see it. Here we go. We got another one here. It's straight enough, but it's a little bit towards the bottom. There we go. That's better. And this one here. And that should be all 10. Great. Now what we're going to do is we're going to need a piece of scrap underneath. So I have one of my scraps from cutting the old olive. And what we're going to do here is to stamp the holly berries around. Now the reason I have the scrap is to save my work spot so that I don't get anything on my workplace, and just sort of stamp these around. You can do them at different angles. You can do them at the same angle. However you like it is fine. It's your project. So you do you, and you make it so that you're happy with it. And let's get the one there. Good. And we're almost done with this stamping. It's very little stamping in this project, but it makes spectacular cards very easily and quickly. Okay, one more here. Great. Now we're going to do the same for the other pieces of paper. So we're just going to very quickly take this and stamp these around like so. I'm going a little bit faster now because I showed you the first time. I don't need to spend as much time now. And I'm changing the angle a little bit, changing where I stamp, changing how I stamp. But it's just this hollyberry stamp in the old olive. That's all there is to it. So let's get this one here and maybe a little bit here so that it looks like it's filled in a little bit more. Great. Okay. So we have 2 down. And we're just going to keep going. Now, usually with hollyberries, of course, you would do them in red. I liked this one sort of monochromatic and just using the green. If you prefer to make them in red, you certainly could make them in red. This stamp does come with the berry stamps as well, so that there are a stamp that is just the berries to fill in. If you wanted to do that, you could certainly fill in the insides of the berries. And here we go, right around here. One more, but I kind of like this card with just the old olive. I just thought it was so classy and pretty with just the one color. You can also use on this project, if you want to, some of the designer series paper, and I would recommend if you do that using the Heartwarming Hugs or the Gleaming. I think it's called Christmas Gleaming. It's something like that. But it would make a very pretty addition to this card if you wanted to do that. But I'm making it simple, just using SIP, stamps, ink, and paper. Have you heard that before? That's what we call, when we do simple stamping, use just stamps, ink, and paper, we call it SIP. Of course, it's not completely true because you always need adhesive and to cut things. But other than that, stamps, ink, and paper, SIP cards make really pretty cards. I started stamping in 1998 when I was pregnant with my 3rd child. And we used more SIP cards than anything else. We didn't have as much designer series paper back then. It did come around a little bit later, and there was some. Although, to be perfectly honest, the stuff that Stampin' Up! Sells now is just so much prettier than it was in the 90s and very early 2000s. They've really come a long way, and it's absolutely stunning. So there's always that you can use as well. And I'm just going to do a little bit on this side. Great. And we are almost done here. We're on number 8 of our 10. So we can get this done very quickly. And again, like I said last week when I was doing this, this is something you can do when you're just sitting around the table, when you're talking to your family, when you're watching TV in the afternoon. Okay, so we have 2 more to go. Let's do these 2. There we go. Every one of these is going to look absolutely different from the previous one because every one of them is a little different. So we'll get this going. So now what we're going to do is get it assembled. So let's go ahead and fold all these. In half. You can score these. I often score these when I'm doing cards, but this time I'm just going to go ahead and just quickly fold it and get it done. Get one here. And here we go. Now this is the red cardstock, the rail red cardstock that we cut at the beginning, and this is going to be our card base. And since we're using real red as the card base, before you give this card away, you are going to want to put a piece of Whisper White in the middle. Just cut it 1/4 of an inch short on all sides so that instead of being 5.5 by 4 1/4, it's 5 1/4 by 4. And just glue it on the inside. And the reason for that is that it's going to end up being too dark to read if you don't do that. So now what we have here is our pieces to assemble like this. So we're going to go ahead and use the green glue. There we go. On the back of this. And I like the liquid green glue for this because if you put it a little bit in the wrong spot, you can smoochie it over to the right spot. So we'll do that one. Some of these I didn't like the way I stamped the Merry Christmas, So on the back, there's a Merry Christmas, but it's going to be covered up. It's going to be on the green piece that we have cut out with the stitched rectangle dies. So you're never even going to see it. So there you go. And we'll go ahead and do this one. Great. And just a few more. One here. Now, like I said, if you wanted to do these in different colors, you certainly could. I like the classic look of just the green on it on top of the red, but you could certainly do it the other way if you want to as well. Putting more colors on, changing it up. Maybe you want to do that one was very, very off. There we go. That's why I like the green glue, right? Because you can just move it into place before it dries and you can fix it. And I've got just a few more here to go. One here. Okay. And one here. Getting to the end of that green glue, but luckily I keep lots of it in the house so that there's always more. Always more green glue. Always need to have more green glue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 7 of them. Move that one back into place. Great. And I found the others. Okay. So let's do this one. And then this one here. That's Old Olive ink and Old Olive paper that we're using today because, of course, one of the very good things, one of the very best things about Stampin' Up! Is its color coordination. And everything looks so good together when you can color coordinate so well. Now, all we need to do is to use our Stampin' Dimensionals to get these onto the backs, or onto the fronts, excuse me, of the cardstock. And so what I'm going to be doing is putting some Stampin' Dimensionals on the back here so that I can then just stick it onto the cardstock itself. The Stampin' Dimensionals, they come 700 to a package, I think, and they're $4. So they're like a half penny a piece. They're ridiculously inexpensive. Okay, so let's keep going with these. And we've got these two here, and one on each corner here, and then one in the middle. And we're going to just keep going with these, doing it just like that. Now you can see how pretty that pops off. It's absolutely gorgeous and very quick to make. I mean, we're below the 30, we're not even at the 30 minutes yet. So they're very quick to make. People will love to receive them. You'll be proud to give them out. So they're a great thing to do. Just sitting around the house. There we go. Almost done. So let's get these going here. Oops, I'm supposed to do it on here because this is actually smaller. So it's always good to put your adhesive on the smaller piece. That way you know that you don't go too far outside of it. And I ripped this just a teeny bit taking off, so I'm going to make that the back of the card. That's easy enough to do, right? There we go. Okay, and then we've got just a few more left, so we'll go ahead and do those. So it's almost Thanksgiving now, and my daughter's coming home, so I'm very excited that I'll be able to see her. Of course, being 2020, we all had to get tested, and we all have to quarantine, but it's worth it if I get to see my daughter. And then she's going to stay here for a while, so that'll be nice. And my son is going to come home from college, and my other child lives nearby, and we see that child more often, which is really special and nice. Okay, we are almost done here. There we go, right here. And we can put this one right here. and get these off. And one more here. Great. And 2 more to go, and we'll have all 10 of these. And I am pretty certain that was within the 30 minutes I was trying to do, so that's great. So you can see that making your own cards are really pretty inexpensive and really fun, and don't take as much time as you would expect. So I've made my own cards for many, many years and for many, many occasions, and it's just really fun and lovely to do that. You can do that for those that you love. So this is our very last one, and we will be done with this, which is great. Okay, let me just get a couple of these off and get the last one done. So, and then as I mentioned, I have some other cards that I want to show you as well that I've made using the Poinsettia Petals bundle. As you know, if you follow me, I like to use one bundle or one stamp set during a month and do, I don't know why I can't get the paper off, do different projects with that one set. And what that does is it shows you many different things that you can do with the same stamp set, and so you can see how versatile it is. So here are these absolutely beautiful cards. We've made 10 of them in under 30 minutes by doing it in a sort of a assembly style production. So there you go. That's what we have there. Now I wanted to quickly show you some other cards I've made using the same stamp set. So this was, as I mentioned before, the other 10 and 30 minutes that I made last week. This one I really love. This is using the Heartwarming Hugs Designer Series paper and the poinsettia dies cut out. And then this one right here, I have another class on. So this is a 3-in-1 from earlier in November 2020, so you can go back and find that one. And then this one I did differently for a color challenge that my team runs. And I thought that had a very interesting look for it as well. And I could only use soft seafoam, Pacific Point, basic gray, and Whisper White. So that's it for today. I hope you had fun. I hope you learned a little something. Hope you enjoyed spending time with me. If you like this, please give me a thumbs up. I really would appreciate it. It would really help me out a lot. You can also subscribe to my channel because let's face it, you're not going to want to miss any of my content. And I will see you next week. Thanks for spending some time with me. Bye.